Normalize, I'm willing to work on that instead of that's just how I am. That quote really stuck with me today, and I posted it on many of my sobriety communities. The reason why that sticks to me so much is because in my past, as a drinker, I would typically make excuses. I would not look within, I would look to make myself an excuse and say that that's their problem, not my problem. So when I normalized, I'm willing to work on that and accepted that my life was going to be a challenge no matter what. If I took accountability of my own self, I could change my entire life. And so that's what I did. A friend of mine on one of my sober communities said, "Gosh, why does God take away these strongholds from some people and not others?" To which I replied, maybe it's just not time yet. Maybe it's not her time to be done with alcohol yet. I found when I got sober, I was always a believer in God, but it was a few weeks before I got sober that I got down on my knees crying, begging God to take the pain away. I wasn't asking specifically for sobriety because my drinking wasn't my main issue. It was a big issue, but I had many other things that I didn't work out in my life. And drinking for 27 years made all those things accumulate to a point where I knew that it wasn't just my drinking that I needed to solve. It was everything that encompassed my mental well being. So I begged for God to take the pain away. And it took a pandemic, it took being laid off, it took 6 weeks of benders to finally accept that now is my time. Now is my time. I'm uncertain about what the future is going to hold. It was April of 2020, a few weeks, a month or so after the pandemic started. None of us knew what to expect. I was trying to homeschool my daughter. I didn't know what I was doing. Half the time, I just spent an hour on it and called it a day. She was younger, so it wasn't really that big of a deal, I didn't feel like. But as I thought more about it and decided I needed to spend more time with her on it, I started to realize that I don't know when this is going to end. I don't know if it's going to end, when it's going to end, how it's going to end, and what it's going to look like a month from now, 6 months from now, and a year from now. Could it keep going? Could we get sick? How is this going to affect our lives? Are we going to have to face death? So all those questions caused so much anxiety for me to a point where it was like, I got to do something about this. I can't continue down this path because this anxiety is through the roof. It's causing me to lash out at my family. It's causing me all kinds of anger issues to a point where I didn't even recognize myself anymore. I'd look in the mirror and I would say, "Who are you? And what are you doing? And I want Josh back." Have you ever been there? This video is kind of geared towards people who are looking to quit drinking, finding it difficult to get to that point where they don't drink at all. Maybe you're able to put down the alcohol for a few days or a week, but then you pick it back up and you're starting again and starting that whole cycle over again. I was in that situation for many years. I was stuck in that kind of, I want to be done. I'm on the fence. I still find benefit in it. I still enjoy the buzz. I still enjoy the escape. And I still enjoyed and found value in binge drinking. But the weeks after I quit drinking, I started to really recognize that I gave God credit. I gave credit where credit was due because it was only 2 or 3 weeks before I ultimately quit drinking for good that I did that and got down on my knees and begged him to take my pain away. And it started with not drinking. And then it progressed into getting into therapy and talking all my feelings and thoughts out with an addiction counselor, someone who specialized in addiction. And talking through these things made more sense to why I was continuing my drinking. I read a couple of books. I started to recognize in my communities, in my sober communities, that other people were going through the same situations. And I started to really put two and two together and figure out that a sober life isn't just being alcohol free, it's thinking clearly. Somebody on one of my YouTube shorts just a few days ago commented on there and said, "Another drunk gets sober. We're all saved," with a crying, laughing emoji. And I, came up with all kinds of things I could have said to that. It could have been anything, but I didn't want to instigate anything. And I just decided 10 to 1 that person was just looking to make a joke of it. And what does it take for somebody to say something like that is where I ultimately ended up going with it. Somebody who says something like that has to be hurt themselves. And what I learned over a period of time of being alcohol free, drug free, and thinking with a sober mind is that hurt people hurt people. It really is true. And a comment like that isn't meant to solve anything, it's meant to hurt. And so that person I felt like was hurting. So the best thing I can do is just not reply. And that's what I ended up ultimately doing. Those types of situations and those types of comments, they would have hurt me in my past. But I got to a point where I was like, you know, I don't need to hang on to those personal feelings anymore. I don't need to take things personally. And in fact, it took me a good 3 years to be able to come out of my shell and talk publicly about my sobriety. But once I did get comfortable with the idea of it and knew that I had a calling and that I could kind of help people, I embraced it and I took it to another level. And I started reaching out to people that actually needed help, told them, they can come to me anytime. I started sober communities. I started this YouTube channel, and things have grown from that point forward. And they only grew because I was able to get alcohol free. I was able to free myself of those thoughts of using marijuana or mushrooms or other chemicals to kind of try to escape the reality of life. But the reality is there is no escape. We have to find solutions and coping mechanisms and boundaries with people in order to gain the kind of life that we want to live. And those things come in God's time, and God's timing is perfect. So if you're in the clutches of addiction, you're questioning your alcohol intake, you're wanting a better life, take solace in the fact that you're here. I'm going to pin my Facebook group, Sobriety in the Storm, in the comments section below. Come on over. It's a group of like-minded people just like you and me. And we're there 24/7 to help and encourage. And I hope to see you there. Have a great day, everybody. God bless. And have a great sober day.